Good morning. Welcome to First Parish Brewster. We are a Unitarian Universalist welcoming congregation of people of diverse philosophies and beliefs, people of various cultures and races, sexual orientations, gender identities, abilities, and socioeconomic backgrounds. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your path, may this be a place of rest and restoration on your journey. And we're quickly filling up, so if people can scoot into the middle and scoot towards the side so that we can make a little room for the people who are still coming in so they don't have to hunt for seats. We have a front row here that's open, and the balcony does have openings as well. I'm Reverend Jessica Clay, the minister of this congregation. Oh, and we should fit 5 to a pew. Yes, I know COVID has let us space out, but that is what our seating is arranged for. So just to let you know. Okay, so I'm Reverend Jessica Clay, the minister of this congregation. We don't need to have long conversations about 5 people to a pew. We can note it and scoot in. I'm happy to be welcoming you to the service today with our Lifespan Religious Education Director, Twinks Hastings, our worship associates, John Kelb, Elenita Muniz, and Joanne Powers, and our interim music director, Kaiza Fern. Our services are recorded and available on our YouTube channel midweek. We do ask that all over the age of 4 mask while in our service. Please, at this time, silence your cell phones. We also ask that all wear their name tags or fill out the sticker name tags in an effort to be more welcoming. We also welcome the noises, movement, and mirth that little ones bring to our services. Our services are 60 to 75 minutes long. If you need to leave before then, you're welcome to use the doors at the rear of the sanctuary. For those of you who may be first-time visitors this morning, welcome. Are there any visitors who would like to introduce themselves? We will bring a mic to you. Oh, we've got a hand in the back there. Great.
Hi, I'm Kate, and this is my first time coming here. And
Hi, I'm Travis.
Hi, Kate and Travis. Welcome. Any other visitors who would like to introduce themselves? Great. Welcome, visitors. If you'd like to learn more about First Parish Brewster, please fill out a welcome card found in the back of the pew in front of you and place it in the offertory basket. Welcome on this morning, which we make sacred by our presence together. And a big welcome to people streaming. Let's give them a wave. We're so glad you're here. And a note about accessibility. If you need accessible parking, please only use these spots in front of the church if you need accessible parking. Also, please only use the thrift store parking spots if you need accessible parking. That way we save it for our people with limited mobility. We do have the Chowder House lets us park back there, and you can come in through the parish room, or you can park across the street. But please keep those spots open for people with limited mobility. In community news announcements, who came to our fair yesterday? How much fun was it? So let's give a big round of applause to everyone who made that happen. Including Deb Klein. She gets her own round of applause. She is not here this morning. I gave her the morning off. So just so much appreciation to Deb Klein and to all the volunteers. There are still a few things for sale. You'll see them in coffee hour. The brownies are delicious, I can personally report, as are the cookies. I had a few yesterday afternoon. So thank you all to making it such a success. Today, if you are interested in becoming a member of First Parish Brewster, during coffee hour, you have an opportunity to sign the membership book at the table with the big welcome sign. Membership committee members will be available to answer any questions you might have. In additional community news announcements, who's planning on coming to our Christmas Eve services? So many hands. This is fabulous. On Christmas Eve at 4:30 p.m., we need 6 ushers. So 6 of you at 4:30 who are coming to the family service. We could use 6 ushers. At the 7 p.m. service, we need 2 more ushers. And on Christmas morning at 10 a.m. on the 25th, we need 3 ushers. So if you are planning to come to any of those services and you think, you know what, I can welcome people to this service, Christmas Eve, I can give them a candle. It's really not a high-stress job. You will see the most stressed out person is probably me. So please speak with Tavia. Tavia, if you could rise, please. Please speak with Tavia at coffee hour and sign up for those. Next Sunday, who knows what's happening next Sunday? The pageant. Who's excited about it? Did you know that this year there's a duck in it? It's a first, let me tell you. Did I ruin the surprise, Twinks? Okay, good. It's what? It's an all-new script for this year. So please join us as we tell the story of the birth of a baby, celebrating this season of hope. All are welcome at 10 a.m. Following the service today, everyone is invited to the parish room for mask-optional coffee and conversation, or you're welcome to socialize in the sanctuary with masks on. Welcome to the service today. It's so good to be together.
In last week's service, we were called to look for the magic in our lives. This week, we reflect. It was a very sneaky plant. The more I tried to catch my fern moving, the more it stayed the same. I waited, nothing. By the end, so each movement, each tiny transition, each transformation, we are bound together with each other's pain and happiness and joys and grief. We're peace for justice, hope for love, and hope for a new year of truth, making the world a better place. As we light the chalice,
as we light our Advent candles in this, the season of waiting, may they remind us to be any 3 candles. As we light our 3rd candle, may we be reminded that joy can make our world, so that they might find a seed of joy in this, the holiday season.
I'd like to invite you to said the night wind to the little lamb, do you seek as a kite? With a voice as big as the sea, with a voice as big as the sea. Oh, the child shivers in the cold. Let us bring him silver and gold. These people everywhere, listen to what I say. The child, sleep.
We believe in love. We believe in truth. Friends, we're going to sit in the carpet right here in front of me. Squish along, Casey. You want to come on this side, I think. All right, good morning. So this week, I've been having what was awful and what was awesome so that they could have some awe too. So I said, pineapple on pizza, right? Loud Justin Bieber tunes in the car, the smell of skunks when they spray you, and Brussels sprouts boiled for 4 hours. I said, all of those things are awesome, right? And then I said, hot chocolate, sleeping in late, ranch dressing, and tacos. Ugh, those things are so awful. And guess what? So many of my friends disagreed with me. Maybe it's because I'm Scottish, I don't know. But boiled Brussels sprouts for 4 hours, not a hit in America, I have discovered. Some people in here will attest. And so I thought, what does that all mean? So I did some research, and I learned that the original thought behind experiencing awe was something that was amazing and wonderful and vast and incredible that made your face do this thing. But it was also something so big and vast and amazing that it also it made you feel a little bit of fear. So it was awesome and awful. And originally, it was reserved for meetings with God. And so that poses a problem for us UUs, right? Because when we talk about experiencing awe, how do we find it? How do we define it? And if it's a divinely thing, then we youths are really in trouble, because our thoughts on God are vast as the Grand Canyon, which is notorious for inspiring awe. So I remembered this story about a wise woman I once knew who would travel from town to town, and people would come to her when they were arguing or couldn't agree, or they couldn't help, or they were like having an argument and they couldn't agree, and she would come and help them find their way to a solution. Do you guys ever have arguments? All of these families that have more than 2 or 3 siblings in it? Any arguments happening? Didn't think so. But anyway, let me tell you this story of a wise woman who might come along and help you deal with your arguments. So one day she entered one of the towns on her route, and she heard a lot of arguing. She looked and saw a group of people in a very heated discussion, and one person called out,
Hey, come here. We need your wisdom.
So she approached the group, and the person who had called to her said,
I've been telling people who God is, and they keep saying I'm wrong. I'm worried about them. Help them see what's right.
Well, what have you told them?
Well, I told them there is one true God who loves and cares for us and hears our prayers and commands us to love one another.
And the wise woman said, You are correct.
What? No, that can't be right. I believe there's a God, all right, a God who created the universe, established the laws governing it, set it going, and left. God has no interest in the affairs of humanity. It's up to us to make this world the place we want it to be.
And the wise woman said, You are correct. Then a third person said,
I believe there are many gods and goddesses. They're part of my worship of all nature and the cycle of life.
And she said, You are correct.
I'm not at all sure there is a God. I see a divine spark in everything and everybody. But maybe it's just a part of human consciousness.
What do you think the wise woman said? You are correct.
Well, I don't believe there's a God at all. But I am totally awestruck when I think about the mystery of creation of our universe and how we came to be. I believe it's my responsibility to leave my corner of the world better than I found it.
And once again she said, You too are correct.
But how can we all be correct when we have different ideas of what God is or isn't?
Yes, you all have different ideas, but as long as each of those ideas lead you to love and care for each other and this wonderful part of creation we call Earth, then that is the correct vision, however you label it. And so when I remember this story and I think of the wise women, I remember that one person's awesome is another person's awful, because I'm not lying. I boil my Brussels sprouts for 4 hours. True story. And finding awe really comes from finding what in the world, make sure paper not crumple. Finding awe comes from finding what in the world, be it a person or a place or a thing, that makes you feel astounded by its amazingness and just a tiny bit scared of its vastness. But really, if you have this face, you have found awe. Let's sing these awesome children out.
Before we settle in for our prayer, I invite you to turn your gray hymnals to number 226, People Look East. Just open it to that. We're going to do that instead of meditation on breathing, and then set it next to you so that you don't have to do it after the prayer. So People Look East, number 226. Just open it, set it next to you. You'll have it ready. And once you've done that, you can settle in for our time for prayer. If you have something in your hands, I invite you to set it down, cast your eyes down or close them. Breathe together. Notice the temperature in the room. Notice what your mind goes to. Notice if you're distracted by anything around you, and just tune back into your thoughts. Tune back into your breathing, not your thoughts. Our prayer this morning is from Father Austin Fleming. Teach us to look for you. Spirit of the living God, turn our faces to the east to look for your presence. Turn our faces in any and every direction from which you draw near to us. Teach us to look for you in places we would not expect to find you. Teach us to find you in places so well known to us that we now fail to see you there. Help us to see you in every guest we entertain. Let the beauty of a rose of any bloom reveal your presence to us. Let every bird who wings across the sky above remind us of the freedom that is ours. Let every star in the heavens be a light in the darkness of our lonely nights. Never let us forget that you are love, and that those who abide in love abide in you. Teach us to look east, sweet mystery, and north and south and west, that we might find you in every place we look, including within ourselves. Amen.
this off for a minute. When I discovered Unitarian Universalism and began learning about this faith, many aspects appealed to me, including this source. Direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. Prior to becoming a UU, my work life brought me to South Korea for multiple trips that added up to about 7 months spent in the land of the morning calm. In addition to working with people from a culture different from my own, weekends included many hikes with Korean friends seeing Buddhist temples nestled in beautiful mountain valleys. My experiences allowed me to learn and live in a culture different from my upbringing, which I grew to appreciate and respect. Hiking with my Korean friends transcended our cultural differences as we shared a direct experience of the mystery and wonder of nature. Also, the phrase in the source, affirmed in all cultures, resonated with me. A recent experience during my trip to Oregon was a hike in the Three Sisters Wilderness to Cush Falls on Whiteous Creek with my daughter Tina. I think we were about as deep in the wilderness that I've ever been. No temples were encountered, nor any sight or sound of humanity except one other hiker. The 2.5 miles from the trailhead to the falls was mostly through burnt forest, which left charred trees and felled trunks across the trail. That allowed for better views of the valley, presenting both a beautiful and a stark landscape. Saplings and bushes showed us nature returning the wilderness to forest. Another source is wisdom from the world's religions, which inspires us in our ethical and spiritual life. As a reminder, we have world religion symbols displayed in our sanctuary. The yin-yang symbol represents a Taoist principle that all things exist as inseparable and contradictory opposites. The destruction of the forest from the fire alongside the fresh growth provided a reminder of that principle. It's clear that I experience awe in nature. I've been blessed to have taken many hikes that have provided a renewal of my spirit and have given me an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. They have tied me to UU theology and strengthened the father-daughter relationship.
Each week, we have the practice of splitting our offertory plate. Half of what's collected goes to the work of First Parish Brewster, and half goes to a worthy organization nominated by one of you. This morning's offering is a split plate with Faith Family Kitchen. How many of you have participated in serving meals, providing meals for Faith Family Kitchen? Look around at how many people have been involved in this. This congregation has been involved in this effort for the last 10 years. This program serves hot, nutritious meals to our food insecure neighbors 3 evenings a week. And along with other faith communities together, they have provided over 150,000 meals. So as you can see, this organization is doing a lot of good for those who are food insecure on Cape Cod. This morning we ask you to give as generously as you are able. You can text to give, the number's in your order of service. If you're watching online, you can donate on our website, or you can place check or cash in the offertory basket. The offertory will now be gratefully received.
Our companion.
While lots of things inspire me, nature, horses, the sea, walking out this morning into the Punkhorn Parkland's Great Horned Owl Corral, it seems that dates are the moments that awe me. June 6th, for instance, D-Day. The idea of ordering so many young men off to die is impossible for me to grasp. And August 6th and 9th, the only uses of the atomic bomb. But the day, the moment that really fills me with awe is the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, 1918. What came before that moment is awful, and much of what came after is also awful. But that moment, that instant when the guns went silent, that to me is awesome. People made that choice. It is the only war's end that we have enshrined in an international holiday, Armistice Day. A few words from Starhawk. Magic is the art of changing consciousness at will. You can look at war as a massing of arms and materiel and troops, but you can also look at it as something else, as a delicate web of interwoven choices made by human beings, made out of a certain consciousness. The decision to order an attack, the choice to obey or disobey an order, the decision to fire or not to fire a weapon. Armies, and indeed any culture that supports them, must convince the people that all the decisions are made already and they have no choice. But that is never true. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe we have choices to make. We covenant to support the inherent worth and dignity of every person, including our so-called enemies. We work for justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, including with our enemies. We strive to work for a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. And we covenant to work accountably to undo racism and all oppressions. We affirm the use of the democratic process. And by this, I mean consensus decision-making, which is awesome when it is given a chance to work. I have seen a group struggle for hours, listening closely to each other, trying to reconcile different points of view, and suddenly someone comes up with a third way that honors everyone's deeply held beliefs, if not their precise positions. That is truly magical. When the whole group, stubbornly divided only moments before, can come together on a new vision, it is quite simply remarkable. It is awesome. So to answer the question, where do UUs find awe, I believe we create it ourselves, if we have a mind to, by practicing with conviction our 8 principles, by remembering that we always have a choice, that the decisions have not all been made, and that our work as UUs is to be sure that our closely held beliefs are central to the decisions that lie before our leaders, and ourself. Imagine the awesomeness of having homes and schools and hospitals and food instead of armies and starships and weapons systems. If we believe we have the choice and we work like hell on the decisions, we can create our own sources of awe. May it be so.
Thank you, Mary. No, don't worry about it. Thank you, Wabi Sabi. That was beautiful. For many, the magic of December is wrapped up in celebrations of the holidays they hold dear. And this includes Christmas for many. For those who celebrate it, Christmas is a time of inspiring awe. They are able to set aside capitalism and consumerism, and they celebrate gathering around a tree with family. They celebrate rituals and traditions that occur year after year, but it wasn't always this way. In 17th century England, the time of Advent was a time of fasting, it was a time of contemplation, culminating in the 24th of December, Christmas Eve, when one was expected to fast all day. They broke their fast on Christmas Day by going to church and having huge feasts, often, and then continuing to feast for the next, how many days? 12 days. I heard some quiet, 12. 12 days until Epiphany, yes, the 12 days of Christmas. Sometimes these 12 days got a little ruckus and got out of hand. It's said that people of lower socioeconomic status would go into wealthy people's homes and steal people's food just so they could have feasts themselves. Alternatively, some wealthy people would invite people of lower socioeconomic status into their homes and feed them. Often there was lots of game playing and drinking following Christmas Day, and it became pretty rowdy. According to the Reverend Susan Ritchie's book, How the Unitarians and Universalists Invented Christmas, I know, it's a lofty title. In colonial America during the 17th century, it was illegal to observe Christmas, at least in Puritan Boston. These pious New England Protestants, as she described them, had a suspicion of what was happening over in England. There was too much rowdiness, and there was no biblical precedent for celebrating Jesus' birth on December 25th. And many of them had observed in their home country how it often got out of hand. And yet, from not allowing Christmas to be celebrated at all, there were these confluence of things that happened in the 19th century that led to Christmas celebrations as we know them today. So there were a couple of things that happened. In 1818, the Unitarian minister of the Congregational Church in Worcester, Reverend Aaron Bancroft, preached a sermon where he said that Christmas was in line with the values of New England Protestants. He said, "It doesn't matter what day Christ the Savior was actually born. What matters is that we celebrate his birth." And basically that Christmas Day was as good of a day as any. The Universalists hosted the first public religious observance of Christmas in the New World outside of an Episcopal or Catholic Mass in 1789. And in 1835, the British Unitarian author Harriet Martineau traveled around the United States, and she noted certain customs that she found and things that she had observed. So she was an abolitionist and often visited with other abolitionists. In her chapter on cold weather customs, she noted having a meal in a German immigrant's home, how the parents had brought a tree inside, put candles and ornaments on it, and then gathered around it and dramatically revealed it to the children, much to their delight. Elizabeth Martineau had been scrutinized for her abolitionist views, so she didn't detail who this German immigrant was. This was Unitarian minister Charles Follen, also an abolitionist, and the minister of Follen Church in Lexington, Massachusetts. To this day, Follen Church has a Christmas tree sale that is a large fundraiser for them in Charles Follen's memory. So the combination of Elizabeth Martineau publishing this about the Follen family, bringing the Christmas tree inside, Unitarian and Universalist preachers beginning to embrace celebrating Jesus' birth on the 25th, and lastly, in 1799, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, how many of you know him? Okay, all right, a handful, who often preached in Unitarian pulpits, published the story of a Christmas custom in Germany in the Christian Register. So the Christian Register was the precursor to the magazine that everyone who are members here receives today, also known as UU World. Good job. And so in modern day terms, this confluence of things was going viral. Christmas ideas were going viral. As households read about these accounts, they started practicing them. So in Samuel Taylor Coleridge's account, he talked about how he observed these customs in Germany. Children and parents would make presents for each other and place them under a tree inside. Interestingly, what did not stay with our Christmas tradition, but you can find it in the stories that evolved of Santa Claus, is that in Germany during that time, the following day, the parents would take the children aside. It said the mother would take the girls and the father would take the boys. We're not going to get into that gender binary, but and tell them which has been the most well-behaved and which one hasn't, and give them presents accordingly. And this idea of using the Christmas tree to give presents caught on in American households. Oftentimes, the parents would use it to inspire generosity. Sometimes the gifts would be from figures other than the parents, so you wouldn't be seen as spoiling your children. So they would say they were from the Christ child and eventually Kris Kringle or Santa Claus. But in Unitarian Christian literature at the time, the children would only receive gifts after being generous to other people. And we still see this in a lot of Christmas messages today, that the people who receive gifts, or in Hallmark movies, the ones who fall in love, are the ones who seem like they don't want to. Am I right? Okay. So I could go into a whole sermon about that, but I'm not going to, rest assured. But I invite you to think about the holiday rituals around your own home. That sometimes we get into this mindset of we have to do them or they become rote, but reflecting on their history, reflecting on why we do what we do, helps us to remember where awe is found in them, where wonder is evoked. And I know that not all of you celebrate Christmas, but for those that do, knowing as you bring that tree into your house, as you gather in front of it, maybe with a cup of cider or hot chocolate, that this is part of your Unitarian Universalist heritage, that in itself inspires wonder. And if this month you celebrate Hanukkah, may you find awe within those celebrations and rituals that have been occurring since the year 164 CE. Resting in the history of your ancestors, knowing that these rituals will continue long after you. And if you are opting out of the holidays altogether, I hope that you are able to find some awe in your going in and going out of your home, in the beauty of the ocean that surrounds us, in the simplicity of waking up each day. The theology of Unitarian Universalism is one that rests in personal revelation. We place importance on your experience of what is meaningful in the world. We place importance on your experience in relationship to the people around you. And so my hope for you as we continue to move through this Advent season is that it's a time of wonder, a time of finding awe and meaning. And what's true is that this season brings up many feelings. It brings up many griefs of remembering holidays past, of imagining the holidays that were meant to be with the people who are not here. But as we all know, grief and joy are intertwined, intermingled. They coexist with one another. So my hope for you is that if your grief is overwhelming this holiday season, that a bit of ease and awe will make its way to you. My hope for you, if your cup is overflowing with joy, is that you will share it with another in ways that feel real and true. And if you are creating new rituals with your family this year, if your family iteration looks different this year, may you be mindful of our history and present to the wonder that creating new rituals can bring. May you take a little bit of space in this time to name what has been true for you this year and to appreciate each other, to appreciate the simplicity of a tree or candles or a cup of hot chocolate shared with the person we love can keep our hearts warm as the days shorten and the year comes to an end. Amen, and blessed be.
I'd like to invite you to rise in body or spirit, or both, and join with your insert, Ordinary Miracle. It's not that unusual when everything is beautiful. It's just another ordinary miracle today. The sky knows when it's time to snow. Don't need to teach a seed to grow. It's just another ordinary miracle today. Life is like a gift, they say, wrapped up for you every day. Open up and find a way to give some of your own. Isn't it remarkable? Like every time a raindrop falls, it's just another ordinary miracle today. The birds in winter have their fling and always make it home by spring. It's just another ordinary miracle today. When you wake up every day, please don't throw your dreams away. Hold them close to your heart, 'cause we're all a part of the ordinary miracle. Ordinary miracle. Do you want to see a miracle? It seems so exceptional that things just work out after all. It's just another ordinary miracle today. The sun comes out and shines so bright and disappears again at night. It's just another ordinary miracle today. It's just another ordinary miracle today.
Will you place your hands on your heart? Feel your chest rise with each breath. Can you feel that ordinary miracle? May you know you are an ordinary miracle to me, to this community, and to the world. May you go out and tell the people around you that they are it as well. May you find awe and wonder in the days ahead. Amen. Now turn to your neighbor and tell them they're an ordinary miracle.